Hey everybody, I'm Ronnie from Teachers Wonderland, and you are watching a Teachers Wonderland YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to our station, and make sure you hit that little bell so you can see the notifications. Today, we are problem and solution, which really sounds like a simple text structure, not. I always remember my students struggled so much, probably because it's just recognizing that there is a problem and then how do they solve it. Now, if I gave them guidance, they were fine. But me doing it with them, I'm going to give you 4 books that I use that I get to hit that problem and solution, but like they're explicit in there. First one is You Wouldn't Want to Be in Apollo 13. If you don't know the story of Apollo 13, it's a fantastic story. Thank goodness, spoiler alert, they all survive. But it's about these 3 men going to the moon, and they're supposed to, and then they have an explosion on the rocket. Okay, and if you don't watch the Tom Hanks movie, I suggest you watch it. Not only does this show your students, but it shows and the multiple solutions, and then how they end up picking one option. I personally keep a little book talk with me every time that I'm doing this book, really any picture book, so that I have a little guide for me, and it gives the background of the book. It tells you the themes, the skills that could be taught from here, any vocabulary words as well. During this unit, I will actually display this, and it's problem and solution, and it has the anchor chart. Let's see if I can get you zoomed in so you can see the little anchor chart. And I will actually have this as one of their projects, and this will be one of their little things that we do when we read the book. And then after this, once they go through and we work out the problem and solution, we answer all the questions, we work on our, because we're able to identify the problem and then the solution, and then the summary can go right there. So that's always awesome for us. I personally also love to include a determining importance anchor chart in here, because sometimes they have some like information in here that might not be important to the actual. So like, for example, handy hints in here, and I'm just like, but it's not important to the problem. So I'm able to use my little guidance to tell me, is it important or no? Whenever you're using problems, or whenever you're using, you can also totally use main idea for it. It's not a problem using it. It's there. It's perfect for it as well. And then last but not least, when I'm using this book, I like to predict what's going to happen. This is probably one of my fun activities that I do with this book. Apollo series is all related together. So they're like, oh, it's the first one that goes to the moon. No. So they get to predict, and then a lot of times they're going to be wrong. So that's kind of fun. Another thing that I would like to do with problem and solution, I gotta look at my little handy dandy notebook. Wrong way. I'm going, calm down. I know nobody's even upset, they don't care. So I love doing this. And so you have like your little notebook piece here, an anchor chart that might be important, and then in reading response, you have your reading response that you can use every time. And this is great to use with your students, and then they can identify the problem and solution. So this book is called You Wouldn't Want to Be in Apollo 13. I'm going to put the cover up here. There is a newer, it's by Ian. Highly recommend for just lots of different activities. So that's one of my absolute favorites. The next one is called The Garbage Barge. I when I saw this one, at first I was like, it's probably the best choice, but I kind of was digging it. So The Garbage Barge, I'm gonna make sure the garbage is that we know that it can also cause this hilarious as they accidentally get on a garbage barge. When they realize that they're in danger, teach about problem and solution, but it's also a great way to include environmental pollution along with potential consequences that might happen. This to me is a fantastic book you can use, especially during Earth Day, and I highly recommend this book. The next book that I would tell you to get a look for, here we go. Hang on. I mean, how can you go wrong with Mo? I love Mo Willems. If you didn't watch during like the beginning of COVID, fantastic. Go watch it. So we already know about Knuffle Bunny. So in this picture book, we see Trixie. She gets from her beloved Knuffle Bunny while she was at the laundromat with her dad. But she can't talk, so she's trying to communicate to her family to tell them what's the problem. When they get separated, obviously there's our problem, and our solution is that she's going to be able to get him again. When she finally finds him again, at the end of the book, of course, she learns the lesson that you have to take care of your belongings. This is a great way to spark conversation about SEL, understand responsibility or responsible decision making, and having ownership of your materials. These are super important, even if you are doing upper element. This next book, I wanted to actually show you guys because we actually have it here in my house. But my son reads it almost every single day, like religiously reads it, no joke. So this book is called Tree Lady, and I don't even think it has the author on here, but it is Tree Lady by Hester Bass. It tells about a true story about how one woman loved trees so much, it transformed her and her small town. It then inspired people to do the exact same thing. Amazing. So, and she's, and there's asphalt everywhere it looks. But then she decides to start planting trees. And not just like one or two, she plants hundreds of them. It's so sweet, this book, and it's great for helping kids understand how one person has a problem and they can make an entire difference in their community. I highly recommend this book and check it out. Her story will inspire kids and some of us to think about how you can improve the world that you live in today. I highly recommend this book. This is great during Earth Day as well. It's really a feel-good book. I really love this. And the last book that I have for you is the bonus one, because I just really like this book too. This one or not, but Amazing Grace. I read this to my first graders, and it became such a staple in our classroom that we ended up reading it, I want to say at least 6 in like one school year. Okay, so like giving you like tells the story of Grace. There's Grace, a little girl who loves pirates. But she's going to feel different because she's Black. When Grace, her play, she's a play dressed as a, finally feels like she belongs, and she's like happy. She learns an important lesson along the way for identifying the problem, identifying the solution, but it's also more than just about diversity. It's about inclusion. It's about who you are. Self-acceptance, right? Isn't that a thing? And these topics are still relevant. Picture books are a great way, and I'll pop them all back up here for you guys so you can see them all. Picture books are a great way for us to understand a subject and understand all of it, right? And understand the importance of a lesson and everything in between. I mean, this is just doing problem and solution, but yet I told you more things than just problem and solution, right? You could use them during space. You know, I read Apollo 13. Boom. Apollo 13 is great to use when you have a space unit, because then the kids are able to understand space and the moon. Oh, and here's a bonus. If you're a kid in it, I highly recommend you go onto YouTube and search for two videos. One, Alan Shepard playing golf on the moon. It's falling on the moon. It's awesome. Knuffle Bunny is a great thing to use during, let me just move this guy over. There we go. Knuffle Bunny is a great thing to use to teach responsible decision making, along with any of those SEL topics that kind of fall into it. The Garbage Barge is great to use during Earth Day and for students to understand a quick problem and solution. Tree Lady is also great for problem and solution because you're going to see that she's going to go into this big New York City, which is all concrete. And you'll see how she changes the world. One person changes the world, which is just amazing in itself. And then you have the beautiful Amazing Grace. And Amazing Grace is a great book for you to use for self-acceptance, along with and inclusion. I was going to make it declusion. That's not a word. Diversity and inclusion. I hope these picture books help you find some of your favorite picture books to use during problem and solution. And I really can't wait about it. All of the links are in the show notes below. All you have to do is press the show more button. The links are there. Have a great day, everybody.